Good morning. I was just talking with my wife the other day, Heidi, and I was talking about a question that Gary Ritchie asked when he was here. He asked me a question, something like, so did you learn everything you needed at Bible college? And it's like, it's so crazy because most of the classes that I studied at Bible college, some of them were taught by guys who were also pastors. Those were more helpful than the ones that were taught by guys that were just more into, this is how you do this is how you do that. Because the reality is there's all sorts of big debate things at Bible college and in seminary that the people that attend church don't care about whatsoever. There's just a huge, in my mind, disconnect. And so Tripp apparently, he teaches, and he teaches he says he was teaching a seminary course that many of the future pastors did not want to take. It was a course about pastoral care and counseling. He said the class was filled with prospective pastors. And I love this. He said, who thought that if they preached theologically sound and exegetically accurate sermons, in other words, you preach the word right, no one who heard them would need counseling. Since I knew that the students in my class didn't really want to be there and weren't really hungry for what I had to offer, I began each semester, he says, by telling stories of the messes that some people had made of their lives and how they had looked to me to help them through difficulty and disaster. I would tell these stories until someone in the class would say, okay, we get it, Tripp. We really will need what this class has to offer. I think he was leading the horses to water, and then he was trying to figure out a way to get them to drink. Now, I remember years ago, I was working as an associate pastor, and a couple had come in for counseling. And the pastor walked out of the office who had been counseling them, and he made this observation to me. He said, oh, those two poor young people. I said, why do you say that? He said, because if they had set out to make a mess of their marriage and their lives, if they did it intentionally, they could not have done a better job. I'm like, oh yeah, that really makes me want to counsel people. Well, moving on with this story, in the middle of one of those stories, a student raised his hand and said, all right, Professor Tripp, we know we're going to have these projects in our churches. Tell us what to do with them so we can get back to the work of ministry. Whoa. Wow. He says, I was both stunned by what he said and thankful for what it allowed me to say. Here was a man heading for ministry who clearly loved ideas more than he loved people. It says in Ephesians 4:15, speak the truth in love. The people are never the obstacle to ministry. People's issues and problems are not. He says here at the beginning, theology without love is simply very bad theology. I had a chance to chat with a guy, he's an associate pastor. And as we were talking, it turns out that he said, well, I used to be the lead pastor at a church. And he said it was kind of a small church. And I often say, I pastor a small church. But what he said next I thought was interesting. I asked him if he missed preaching on Sunday mornings. And he's like, I don't think that's really my primary calling. He said, I much prefer like shepherding, more pastoral care, getting involved kind of like with the everyday issues with people. I enjoy both. And I love to preach on Sundays. I enjoy doing this, but I love being with people. And I'm not so much into counseling, but I love to spend time with people. And so I just love this, that there are some people that are out there. I mean, I don't love it in that way. I love it and I get a kick out of it. It's like, dude, don't you see that the difficulties that people are having, that's what ministry is all about. And it's helping point people to Jesus who can lead them through that. And it's never just as simple as just preach the perfect word and then everything will be solved. Never has been, never will be until we get to heaven. God bless you. Have a great day.